Okay. So what I just did will give you a sense of how we're going to view the universe. Now, the way we're going to do it right now is there's a piece of software which none of you can get because it's proprietary to the Museum of Natural History. But for my purposes, it'll show you what I can do with some of the other software, which I will spend more time on. This is going to be a very quick tour of the universe, well, actually the whole universe. We can do the whole universe. It will just, I will hardly say anything about it because it's so much universe. I hope this thing doesn't do that, which it just did. Okay? It's not doing too well.
Loose wire?
If you think you know anything more than I do about this, you are welcome to try to do something about it.
Is it a loose wire?
A loose wire is the answer. However, I can't fix the loose wire, and the loose wire didn't appear until I got here. So I can't, while people want to blame my machine, I'd like to blame their machines. So, you know, I mean, and there's something definitely wrong with the, well, let's see what in a second here. Aha. So this is how bad it's going to be. This is the Earth. I just want to show you that on my machine, looks fine. Oh, I'm not even going to do that. Okay. We just hope that we can, hopefully you'll be able to see anything, because you are going to, we have the man up here, he's going to come, he's going to fiddle with the port, he's going to make it work. And actually, right now, that probably was my fault. So he's going to, there you go, plug it in. Okay, look, okay, so what we're going to, so this is the Earth, okay? All these boxes are checked, which is not as usual for other software that I have. And so we're going to just go flying out from the Earth to the end of the universe, okay? And the nice thing about this particular piece of software, which is not available to you, but another piece which is that this is all it comes in as needed. The universe comes in when it's wanted. So basically, as I pull out, there's the orbit of the moon, the planets. Okay, that's this Milky Way, the stars. There's the galaxy. These are the galaxies of the universe. These are the quasars in the universe, and that's the end of the universe. That was 10 seconds worth of. I can do this for hours. Okay, and obviously you can't, because you can't get this software. But what you can get is this software. You can get this. So the software that you can get is, for one thing, is called PartView. And PartView is a piece of software which was made by the Museum of Natural History maybe 8 years ago. And it takes you on a tour of the universe. Same tour, have to do a lot more work. Okay. Now, for those, I have 15 copies here. Okay. There are more than 15 of you, but I'll bet that only 15 of you will want to actually try the stuff that I'm about to show you. So raise your hand if you're really intent upon trying to reproduce what I'm about to show you at home. Okay. So this, nothing happens until you do things on this thing. And the museum has set it up in such a way that it's not even useful as it is. Well, one thing, you can't see the planets. So it tells you in this handout that I've given you that the first thing you need to do is change the clipping plane. And the reason for that has to do with this. Let's see. Not there. Sorry. I'm totally, okay, clipping plane, I'm going to draw it instead. This is a pyramid. That's a pyramid. And so this is near and this is far. this software can't see from here to there. It only can see from here to here. So you have to tell it where to begin to clip and where to end to clip. So the first thing you do in this software is to tell it to, first of all, you ask it, where are you clipping? So you get to the command line there and you type clip, and it tells you that it's clipping from point 1 to 10 to the 6. And that's not okay, so I'm going to tell it to clip from point 0.00001 to 1000. And so I've told it to clip differently, and now when I tell it to show me the solar system, it shows me the solar system. It doesn't show it very well. I'm pulling out. As soon as I pulled out, the sun went crazy on me because the sun is far too bright. So I have to change. It says it on your page. Press the poly button, and the sun becomes less bright. So now I can go further out. Okay. At some point, I can. What am I telling you to do there? Turn the stars off. I think I told you to do. Turn the stars off. They're annoying for a while, and then we get back. They're much more fun. But the Milky Way is really shattered. So what I have to do is I have to change the clipping plane again and clip, say 0.1 to 1 million, and then I should be able to see the Milky Way not shattered. Did it work? Oh no, it didn't. Milky Way disappeared. I mean, the planet, the solar system disappeared because I clipped it out of existence. But I have the Milky Way, what I can do though is put the stars back on. Okay, that's good. And what I'm doing is I'm going out, but I didn't set this up so you'd see as if I'm actually going out, but I'm actually moving out. You can see I'm actually moving out. There's the sun disappeared, and let me stop that. Okay, so that's good. Now. Once something else you can do here, and this is my favorite thing that you can't do with any other piece of software, so that's why I'm using this piece of software, 10 years old as it is. It can do something that no other software can do. I can tell it I would like to see only the stars that are nearby. And that to me is really beautiful, because I'd like to see my neighbors. And no piece of software lets me see my neighbors. But this one does. So I can said C, no, not C, thresh, distant light year, 0 to 10. And if I'm lucky, I didn't spell thresh right. There it is. I'm going to also turn on that horrible green, those horrible colors, that's the Milky Way. I have to turn it off because obviously I'm not getting the colors I need and the colors I want. I just turned on a 10 light year grid. And I'm going to have to turn on the Milky Way because it looks worse. It makes things worse. But believe me, it looks beautiful when it, yeah. Can you see that on my screen? Mm-hmm. It's much nicer. As the Milky Way passes underneath the solar system, it looks really beautiful. And those stars, those lonely few stars, I think there's 7 of them within 10 light years, are our neighbors. Okay?
So these are the stars moving through the galaxy as they move through the galaxy?
They are moving through the galaxy, but for the purposes of this lecture, they're not moving at all. Okay. They're just spinning around like I'm doing it now. Okay. They're moving, but that's a second order or third order effect. They're going to be there for your descendants. They're going to be in the same spot in the sky, most of them, except for this one. A Barnard star should be in here, and Barnard star will be in a different place for your descendants, but all the other ones not. Again, what I want to do is, so if you do anything with this software, get to the point where you're 10 light years out, maybe a little further out, change the thresh, change it to 20, and there's more. Change it to 30, and there's more. Look, it gives you a sense of what our local universe is. There's no other piece of software that can do this, okay? And it doesn't take a lot of work to do this. It takes a lot of work to be able to manipulate this software, believe me. And Brian Abbott has written a fantastic tutorial, which not only tells you how to use the software, but actually tells you what each of it gives you lessons of what to do, so that by the time you have followed his tutorial, you will have gotten a course in astronomy that is better than any overview course you've ever taken. And part of you will be your guide as you get through that. So in the notes that you got from me, it told you to download. It told you to. It said right here. Okay, so let me read the rest of this front page. It says here, as far as part of you is concerned, download part of you here. Okay, copy this folder to get Laird's version of part of you there. Laird's version of part of you has some cooler stuff that I don't have time to tell you about, but I've been messing with the software for 10 years, and believe me, I've got some extra little clicks that if you just go ahead and click, once you've installed it, you'll get some really nice stuff that'll show up. And the one that I've done that I am especially proud of is this one, because in fact, I was playing with the software and I got very discouraged because I couldn't. There was a new planet that had been discovered. You know, we're discovering new planets all the time. Sedna, though, was just the most outrageous thing that I've ever heard of in my lifetime, because it's the most far out planet, at least it was then. There's one that's even more far out now, but Sedna took the cake because it really told us so many things about the world, the universe, and especially the fact that, not the universe, the solar system, and especially the fact that there may be a ninth planet. Sedna was our first clue that there might be a ninth planet. We still haven't found a ninth planet. Of course, Pluto doesn't count. And I'll show you why Pluto doesn't count. That's the point of this software. So if you click on Laird's reduced solar system starting at the sun, one of those bat files, it starts up and you can see the solar system to begin with. I'll pull out so you can just see it as normal. I'll turn off that poly right there, okay? I'm going to turn off the stars because they're in the way. And this is our solar system. You've seen this before thousands of times, including the orbit of Pluto, and everything else lies in a plane, okay? But what happened was I got very, very upset about not seeing the rest of the dwarf planets. So I got online with the guy who created the software, and through his help, I gave him the data. I don't know why he needed it from me. I gave him the data, and he showed me how to use the programs, and this is what we got. We added 20 planets. That's our solar system. And that's Sedna. Now, I don't know about you, but I get chills when I see that.
20 planets? What do you mean?
20 planets, that's not 20 additional planets. I'm calling them dwarf planets. Those are not planets. But if you want to include Pluto as a planet, you got to include those other 20, and you got to include Sedna. Look what crazy Sedna there. That's just ridiculous. So that gives me chills. Okay, that's our solar system. That goes out, and that's just the beginning. We're finding out so much more about our solar system every day. As in, you know, that trip to the Ultima Thule. Okay, you know, it's a 30-mile object. There are millions, billions of those guys out there. We're only talking here. We're talking about something that qualifies as probably a planet in the sense that it got itself to be round because it's big enough to hold itself together in a round shape.
How long is a year?
These things are 200, 300, 500 years.
Wow.
This one, Sedna, I think it's 40,000 years. Okay, and Sedna, we wouldn't have caught Sedna if we didn't catch it right here, very close to the sun. That's close to the sun. It's 3 times the distance. Neptune is 3 times. It's 3 Neptune distances away from the sun at its closest approach. And I'm calling it close to the sun, right over there. We caught it close to the sun, okay? And if it had been anywhere around here, we would have said we wouldn't have caught it. Another way, even though the statistics are, I'm starting to lecture here instead of teaching you the software. See, I should stop this. It's very addictive to tell you about astronomy rather than the software. But maybe I should just quit. But I just got to say, a statistic of 1 tells you that there's hundreds of those things out there. If we caught this one just by chance, then there are hundreds of other ones we didn't catch just because they're further out in their orbits. So there's probably, I'm showing you 20 planets. There's many, many more, including perhaps a super Earth. Okay, so that's part of you. Okay, that's part of you. And we have only used up a half an hour. We could have lunch. Let's see. So the next one. Okay, so the next one is. Let's go back to the list. Okay, part of you is next. Then open space. Okay, so let me start that. Open space is also being done by the Museum of Natural History, but unlike part of you, it's being done. Unlike Uniview, which is the first one I showed you that we went to the end of the universe in 2 seconds flat. This one is free to the general public. And where am I? Oh yeah. So it's free to the general public. That doesn't mean that it's an easy thing for the general public to use. The general public doesn't seem to be that interested in this at this point. I was on the website and I'm looking at the tutorial, okay, for this software. And the guy who's doing this tutorial is the spectacular guru at the Museum of Natural History. He runs the planetarium displays in some way. I'm not exactly sure what his job is, but he's in charge of visualizations, and he's creating this software as we speak. He's only got about 8 views on YouTube for the tutorial. So I'm probably 3 of those. But nevertheless, you got to see his tutorial. If you want to be able to do this stuff, okay, this is your doorway. You got to be able to. You can sit down. You spend an hour, 2 or 3 or 4, and you can get good at this. It took me. I've worked on this now for about 2 weeks, and I'm not going to be doing very much because the display is horrible and it's not going to be able to do what I wanted to do. In fact, let me show you what I wanted to do and try to do it. But first, I'm going to show you what I want to do, and then I'll maybe try to do it. And if I fail, then you'll at least see what the result would have been. See that? That is Copernicus. Did anybody know that before I told you that? Okay, that's Copernicus. That's one of the prettiest craters on the moon. It's fairly recent. It's got rays emanating from it. Means it's kind of new. New meaning, in the lifetime of the solar system, 250 million years old, something like that. That's new, and probably, I'm not sure of the age of it. But in any case, this crater was photographed by one of the early NASA spacecraft that whizzed past the moon and took pictures, and sent them back to Earth way before there was digital photography and stuff like that. They sent, there was I don't know how they did the technology, but I can show you one thing. The artifacts on the screen, you can see the film strips. If you look, you can see the film strips. Can you see it? The film strips? All right. It's just barely visible because they've been working with this to try to get those lines erased over the years. but nevertheless, so this is one of the most beautiful pictures ever taken of the moon, as far as I'm concerned. And it's really cool because this crater here, called South, which is otherwise a nondescript crater, except for the fact it's double and it's like a snowman, and it's placed beautifully for the purposes of the visual. South gives this thing a depth of field. Well, this software that I'm talking about, we can reproduce this. We can reproduce this picture, and I did that, and I'm going to show you the result of that done with this software. So this is what I did with the software that you can download from the web. This software lets you literally fly the moon. You can fly the moon. Oh, it's hard. Did that just, was it? It's horrible. It's horrible. But you saw it. There's South, okay, and there's that, and you can do it. It's worth it. What you can do is you can come down. See, I'm going to do more of the what you can do rather than how to do it. So what you do is you can come down really low. You can do that, and then you can tilt. You're looking down, and then holding the control key down, you can tilt the view. So you're looking out. Now Carter tells you how to do that. Okay, so you can just look out, and then you can press the button that reduces the friction, so that the camera continues in orbit around the moon, and you get to fly over the moon at the altitude that you've picked. And you can literally just sit there. You can just put it on your computer and go have lunch, and while you're having lunch you can just fly over the moon. It'll keep doing it across the whole moon. The front side, the back side, reproducing the 3D. I don't know about you, but see, I'm in this for the glory, okay? And this is the glory. Now, I've never seen a piece of software that's so free, so available, and so delicious as this piece of software.
And you can pick like any spherical body and do that?
No, okay, you can't pick any spherical body and do that.
Okay.
But there are 3 spherical bodies that you can do it with that are worthwhile visiting. One of them is the Earth, okay? You can do that with the Earth, and Carter takes you in one of his tutorials. He takes you down into the mountains near Los Angeles. Takes you really low down, and then he has you look out, and he flies you across the mountain range. So he takes you on an Earth view. He takes you on a view of the moon, and he puts you down in this crater called Mare Orientali. Do you know about Mare Orientali? No, nobody.
Nobody.
Really, it's one of the coolest craters. But let me. The graphics being as crappy as it is, it's not worth trying to show you stuff. But I will. But Mare Orientali is a crater on the edge. I really should do this on some level. Let's see. Okay, so this is open space, okay, and I'm going to open up open space, and I'm going to tell open space that I can focus on one of 3 things. Hold on, don't fail me now. And what it did is it changed its the thing that was large over here is now teeny over there. Okay, but over here it says I can focus on Earth, the Moon, or Mars. I can do this trick on all of the Moon, all of the Earth, and all of Mars. Okay, so you can go flying over Mars, and there is a video there where Carter takes you on an 1.5-hour tour of Mars that he himself is driving, and then he has a graduate student drive, take you around Mars. You can fly yourself around Mars. Of course, it's hard to drive around these things because you don't know where you are. So it's hard to do these things. So so when I mention a particular landmark like Mare Orientale, that's really good because Mare Orientale is this big ass crater that's on the edge of the moon, and you don't ever see it when you look at the moon because it's this big ass crater on the edge of the moon, which is basically invisible until you turn the moon around a little bit, because you don't do that, and then the moon looks like a moon with a bullseye. Mare Orientale, if it was in the center of the moon, would have been the source of more religions than any the religions we have on Earth today, because in fact it looks like an eye, okay, on the moon. But the nice thing about Mare Orientale, and again I can't do this really too well, I'll try again doing something. So I'm going to focus on the moon. Come on. So it's now thinking it's pointing at the moon, and I can come in. I'm zooming in on the moon. What I'm doing is I'm moving the mouse in the direction that I know that will bring in the moon, and there it is. And it got way too big, and I have to bring it back. Come on. Well, okay, that's the moon. Horrible. I'm not even going to bother. This is in dark. This is in bright. I can change the time so that this is in bright, but I need to turn the moon a little bit so I can get to Mare Orientale, which is at the edge of the moon. The reason I talked about this is because if you go to Mare Orientale, being at the edge of the moon, then the Earth is always in the sky setting. It's always setting at Mare, because the moon keeps the same face to the Earth. So if you go to the place that just could barely see the Earth, or the Earth could barely see it, well, sort of by some sort of mathematics of analogy, if you're there, you can just barely see the Earth, or just the Earth is setting. So what you can do is you can go get really low down on Mare Orientale so the mountains are blocking your view, and then you can set the thing going, rolling, and you can watch Earth rise. And you can do that, and it's not too. And he shows you how to do it in the video. So even if you don't do it, you can watch him do it. Yes.
On Mars, there's a deal with Cydonia and Face and all that sort of stuff.
Cydonia and Face?
On Mars.
No. No. The Face on Mars is a story to tell school children about. It's not real. And it's
Well, there is a picture of it, and I assume you could recreate that picture.
the lighting okay, good point. Point is that the lighting is very specific for that particular thing. And when they do Cydonia, same picture of Cydonia taken in different lighting conditions by other spacecraft at different times, the face disappears. It only appears in the one particular situation in which lighting is such, and I don't know that this is capable of creating appropriate lighting for that. Okay, I didn't mean to. I thought you were. I misinterpreted what you were saying. Okay, so I'm sorry. Yeah.
Can I ask a more like zooming out question?
Yeah.
First of all, the helical model of how the planets rotate around the sun as the sun is moving through the galaxy.
Yeah.
That's accepted by mainstream science, right?
Yes.
Okay. Is there any software that shows, like, as Kepler's finding all these exoplanets, where we can see the stars moving through the galaxy and they're orbiting planets? And
There are. I've seen many times a picture of the Earth, the moon going around the Earth, as the Earth goes around the sun, and you see the moon's orbit is helical. You see the helical motion. And that's of the moon going around Earth. The Earth goes around the galaxy, okay? But the Earth is going around the sun at the same time that it's going around the galaxy, so the Earth would indeed perform the same helical motion that you're talking about as it goes around the galaxy.
Right.
Although the helix would be much tighter because it takes 250 million years to complete one orbit, whereas it takes the Earth only 1 year to go around once, and so 12, the helix of the moon is rather not tight. So there's software to see that helix exists all over the place, or more likely that software would be videos.
Yeah, I've seen it in one video with our sun and our planets, but have you seen any where it's like every known exoplanet that we know of and orbit around their Earth as we're looking, as we're looking at the galaxy, as seeing them move, maybe like, time lapse where it's faster.
I wouldn't think that exoplanets would be interesting, and the reason for that is kill the exoplanets and just talk about the stars they revolve around. Okay. Now the stars they revolve around are going in different directions. Okay. So basically, if you had a time lapse of the stars going in different directions, what you'd see is a group of flies headed for different meals on different people's blankets. All you'd see is this. Zzz, that's it. It's not interesting. If you then included the exoplanets around that, you'd have a little spinny thing around each one of those things. Not that interesting.
And are the suns themselves, the stars themselves rotating?
The stars rotate, yes, they do. Stars rotate. Ours takes a month to go around, to spin once. But that, again, is not visually displayed by much software.
And there's no gravitational pull in between the neighboring planets? They're not affecting each other?
No, of course they are. Everything affects everything else. For example, I have a gravitational influence on you. And if we were speaking astrology-wise, and we were talking about what things are affecting you, okay, I have much more effect on you than Venus or Mars does, or any other gravitational body. So basically, my gravity is better than their gravity. Okay, right? But now, not so much anymore. Okay. See, I like the questions. All right, it's the questions that. So, any more questions? Okay. All right. I've been doing this for 10 years. Okay, 12 years, and I have a class that meets weekly. Okay, at a senior center. On 72nd Street and near Broadway. The problem is it meets when most of you people are working, 12:35. So that the chances of any of you showing up, people do show up when they're out of work. Then they go get a job and they go back. But if any of you are out of work, come. Okay, it's not free, but you can go the first 4 weeks for free, and then after that, I won't bother you. But at some point, morally, you're supposed to pay the senior center $72 a year. So it's up to you. I'm taking attendance, but I don't report your whether or not you came or not to the powers of what?
What day is that?
Tuesdays, 12:35. But other things you can do with this. What else can you do? See, this is terrible. Okay, so I will just show you that because the interface is not that good, or if you will, horrible. So I just pressed a function key, and the function key gave me here, solar system, Milky Way, universe, like that. Same thing that Uniview did, same sort of stuff. So I have the same sort of controls. This doesn't have quite as many things as the Uniview thing that I just took you through in 2 seconds, but you can really go visit the universe, and you can go see, and there's all sorts of just incredible stories that I would love to tell you, and if I run out of things to tell you, I will tell you that. But in the meantime, let's do other visualizations that you can do, not all of which require as much skill. Those two require the most skill and the most time. And on this screen here, I have told you, some things that if you didn't read the manual and you just read this, well, this is kind of like tells you, I just pressed the F2 key. See, I just did that. So then there's other things that you can do that will let you do things. It's just like a cheat sheet if you've never done it. And press the thing, Carter Exploring Mars, and press Getting Started by Dr. Carter Emery. to see what he could do with this. All right, that'll get you started. As I told you, you don't have to be here. Okay, you can just, this is all, you know, on the web. Okay, next. Now this one is actually very cool as well. Now I don't know if I can pull this off because this is a stunt. Okay, but if you want to pull this stunt off, it's worth it because all the other ones that we talk about, those are 2D. I'm going to do 3D. Okay, I'm going to skip the tutorial, and there is the dwarf planet series. And dwarf planet series was visited by the Dawn spacecraft. First it went to Vesta, which is an asteroid, and it spent like a year or two at Vesta. And then, with its plucky rocket engine still functioning, it left Vesta and went to Ceres. And then it went into orbit around Ceres. And slowly over time, it went further down and further down and further down until eventually I think it ran out of fuel. But on its way to Ceres, a mystery appeared in the newspapers and for all scientists to behold, and that was this crater with its two little dots. And initially we didn't even see it was two, and then we saw it was one and then two, and people speculated about this as the spacecraft got closer and closer, until eventually they figured out what it was. And that was ended up being pretty spectacular, because the list of places in the solar system, list of places, see, even though you can't see anything, you saw that the resolution increased as I got closer, right? Because that's the beauty of this. We're not looking at photographs here. This is not photos. This is the beauty of this. This is data. This is data being streamed live from Utah or from other places in the world. On my demand, as I zoom in, that server in Utah gives me the data that I need to show you this. And it's 3D data, it's got height. And as you can see, those spots are not just spots. They're not just 2 spots. There are many spots. That's a volcano. Okay, that's a volcano spewing water, and those are the salts that remain on the surface. There's an ocean underneath that. There's oceans everywhere in this solar system. It's not you want to look for life anywhere you look. There's oceans. Mars has got oceans. Ceres has got oceans. And maybe not Vesta, but Ceres. Is it Ceres or Ceres? I never know. So there. What we're going to do is we're going to visit that, okay? 3D wise.
So that light is salt but not water?
Those are salts. Sodium carbonate, I believe. Baking soda, something like that. But it tells you that water came up with the salts dissolved. The water evaporated over millions of years. The salts remain on the surface. This is just but the fact is that the lifetime of these salts is slim. So this is recent. This is stuff that recent, of course, in astronomy means 10 million, 100 million years. So that's recent, but nevertheless recent. So what we can do here is now that person's iPhone. Okay, it's good. It's there. This is the stunt. This doesn't always work. Hold on. First thing I have to do for the stunt is I need software that will let me display what's on this generously volunteered iPhone. Would you enter the code? Okay, there we are. So what I do is I click this tool thing and I press the button called Experience Trek VR, and then it tells me to draw a path. And it gives me a video there. I'm just going to press the Draw Path button. Okay, and now, what I'm going to do is I'm going to click, and there's a path. double click to end, and that's what I get. That's what happens when I've finished that. I get this. Then I take the iPhone,
Oh,
and I go to the camera, and on the camera, it should, and it does, recognize that immediately. On the iPhone, it recognizes immediately with the camera. If you have a Samsung, you have to do one additional step maybe or not. Now, I open it, and Touch ID. Oh, with some luck, his phone, we sync to the network, okay? And now I'm holding this up, and we should have, there it is, we're following that path. But of course you can't see that. So, with some luck, and this is where it's the stunt, okay? So then I tell the iPhone to mirror this screen to my computer, so you can see it. You don't have to do that. What you should do instead is you should get yourself one of these devices that, let's see, have it at hand. Get yourself one of those cardboard VR viewers, okay? The kind that you put the iPhone in,
Right.
you know, okay? And then you can watch this without doing this, which may or may not work right now. We're going to hope
It
it
works.
does. What?
It works.
So she's got it on hers already. But I'm going to try to put it on the screen here. Yeah, look. And, well, maybe later. And see, as I move this thing around, back and forth, I'm doing a VR, okay? So you don't have to pay $50 to go to this place that she was talking about, okay? Here it is, real virtual reality. You pick the tour. 4 places. You can do Vesta, you can do Sears, you can do the moon, and I'm not sure if you can do the Earth. There were 4 things, okay? You can do this. It's
Can you go directly to the phone and instead of?
this is just so you can see it,
Oh, I see.
okay? It's happening here on this
I
phone.
know.
She's got it on her phone already.
But
Okay.
you went through the computer and then the phone.
No, the computer's unnecessary for this.
Okay.
No, the computer was necessary because I needed to go to the website. I needed to draw the picture, and then that QR scan came up on the screen of the computer, and I held this up to the screen of the computer, and then this was independent of that.
Okay.
Okay? But until we go through those steps. So this is just amazingly cute. Right? I found this recently. This is a big deal, I think. This is NASA. NASA did this for you. Where can you go? Yeah, so that's what I took a picture of that. I didn't take a picture, I just held it up. Yes,
Can you show again how you get to this stage?
I will.
Thank you.
That's the easy part. Let's see. Okay, so I went, well, first of all, I went into this, okay? Trek, that's on my page, all right? And I clicked Series, and when I got there, I then zoomed in on this particular crater, which is visible, and then I chose the tools up here. I chose tools. I clicked on that, and then it told me to draw a path, and then that thing came up on the screen, and that was how I did it. I would show you that there's something else that you can do here. this is a planar map of Ceres. It's a planar map. And if you look at it like this, it's not that interesting. However, they do a 3D globe. And you can do the same thing. And it doesn't quite, and it works the same way, but you can't do the 3D thing, but you can come in. You can't do the thing that Carter lets you do with the software, that the open space software, which you hold the control key, you hold the mouse just right, you pull, and you look out horizontally. Okay, that you can't do with this. Okay, but you can do that with the viewer that you've got. Okay, with the viewer, you can look down, you can look out, look around. Okay, so it's similar. So this one, so Ceres as a globe. See, Ceres. Anybody know? Is there anybody help me? I just never get it. Never. No.
Let's call it Ceres.
You say Ceres?
Yeah.
I'll take you for it as long as I can remember it for it. This is Vesta. Vesta's smaller than Ceres, and as such, it's not a globe. It's not big enough to pull itself around. So when you go visit Vesta, it's more than worth your while because
Ceres.
Vesta's not round. So I'm going to click the globe. Look at that. That's Vesta. Look at that. That's fun. Look at those grooves. Yeah, I mean, it's a shame that you can't see this, I mean, really. But if you go home and do any of this stuff, it's not hard, right? All you need is that. You need URL Laird Astronomy Visualizations. Look at these grooves. I don't know what they're from, but when you take a look, you're free to speculate. It looks like something came crashing in at an oblique angle. Is that what it is? It's certainly a source of speculation by astronomers.
Is that smaller than Pluto?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. Yes, it is. Okay, so that's Trek, and it's terrific. And as I said, Mars is good, and the Moon. Oh, not here. The Moon. So you can really play games. And I would be interested to. And I haven't done enough places, but if you really want to spend your time in outer space, which I'm telling you about, how to spend your time in outer space, this is how to do it. Okay. Then there is Universe Sandbox. Now that one costs $25, and it's marginally not clear whether it's worth it or not. And I just clicked on buy it, which is not. I'm not going to do that because I own it, so I'm going to close that. Is
that $25 a rental or a purchase?
No, it's purchased. The thing about Universe Sandbox is that it's, you know what a sandbox is? Kids play in sandboxes, okay? And they don't destroy anything because they're in a sandbox. That's the idea of a sandbox. A sandbox is a place that you can play in the solar system and you won't hurt anything, even though you will hurt the planets because they let you collide planets with each other. So the opening display looks like this, and despite the fact that the colors are horrible, you can definitely see that it's got the usual logarithmic display. And I can tilt it back and forth, so this is fun. It really is, and I can pull out. It's even more fun. And some of the cool planets. See, when I didn't know about this when I was playing. But there's Sedna right there, right there. And so we get another view of Sedna done by this software. You can see, pull out further. You can see the orbit of Sedna as advertised.
You said 40,000 years?
Yeah, something like 40,000 years. But we're not here to admire the solar system. We're here to admire what other people have done with the solar system. Because over here, under open, people have made simulations of the solar system. I don't know to what extent the people who made Universe Sandbox made this, or individuals made it and said, hey, take a look, do you like this one? You can have it for free. So you can investigate all sorts of really cool things that otherwise you could never see. You can see an interstellar object with a hyperbolic trajectory. If you raise your hands, if any of you that makes any sense to you? Okay. For the rest of you, just for the fun of it, we had an interstellar visitor a while back. Came from another star, came whizzing through our solar system, and left before we started leaving, before we even started paying attention. But the thing is, the odds of such a thing being seen by humans was 0 until we saw one. And now, having seen one, we can speculate on the basis of the statistics of one that there are billions of them out there. And we just caught the one that happened to be passing by when we were looking and not blinking. So you want to see that thing? This is the orbit. You can watch it come and go. Click on that. I'm not going to do that because there's so many other ones. Voyagers, spacecraft that we sent out. Click on that. The Goblin. The Goblin is another one like Sedna. Check on that. This one is, what happens if we replaced our sun with Betelgeuse and put it right in where the sun is? How big would it suck up the planets? Have you ever thought about that one? I have. You can see the answer right here. Okay. Tesla Roadster. You want to see the path of the Tesla Roadster? Click there. And not only that, but you can zoom in and actually see the car. Okay. So this is a lot of fun. And there's Weird Spaces at Tesla. What else do they have? They have lots of stuff. This one. This happens to be my favorite solar system, extrasolar solar system. It happens to be a star called TRAPPIST. It's got 7 planets. And the cool thing about the 7 planets, first of all, it's cool that they have 7 planets, and we found them. It's cool that 3 of them are in the habitable zone of the planet. Okay, so you can make up stories about how different civilizations were born on different planets, and maybe they had wars between the planets. Maybe they're friendly, maybe they're not. Maybe they grew up at different times. You can tell yourself all sorts of stories. The problem with this is TRAPPIST, of course, there can be no life there because this is a dwarf star, and it happens to be sending out flares that crisp the planets all the time. So that doesn't really work. But if you eliminate that particular fact, it works very well. So there's lots of stuff so red dwarf, 40 light years away, 3 Earth-sized exoplanets. They tell you good stuff about it. You don't have to be an astronomer to be able to play in this world. And they've got lots of stuff. There's so on my list here, I actually list some of them. Okay. So I list some of the things that I thought were cool. Okay. Juicy simulations requires steam, which is free, and you can do that. One of the things is Planet 9 in our solar system is another one. I mentioned a few of those. I mentioned a few of these. Okay, good. So that's an easy one, but it costs you $25, but it's worth it. It's not a, but it's one of the few that are worth it. The other one that I wouldn't recommend unless you are serious, and there may be a few of you who are serious, is Starry Nights. Starry Nights isn't cheap. Starts at $80, but if you are a person who, like me, knows zilch about the sky. See, I've lived in New York City all my life, so when I look up and people say, "What's that? You're an astronomer," I beg off, you know. And the thing that would scare me most would be to take a cruise across the Atlantic Ocean and tell people I'm an astronomer, and they would ask me all that stuff, and I would have no idea whatsoever. But if I had a cheat sheet like Starry Nights, okay, on my computer, that's very good for that. And by the way, speaking about cheat sheets, well, can't use there's my phone. Speaking about cheat sheets, you can download apps from the App Store, okay, and there are lots of really cool ones that people play with. One of them is called Star Walk, and
Oh, yeah.
you have that one?
Star Wars.
Do you like it?
Yeah.
What does it do?
There's a lot of good visualizations
Yeah.
of the planets, but it doesn't do as much as like some of these do.
Okay, but it's not for visualizing the planets. If you shake the thing just right, it gets live, wakes up, and then when you hold it up against the sky, it's pointing to what's showing on your phone is the same thing that's right behind your phone. You ever do that?
I can on my computer.
No, but you've done that.
Yeah, we knocked that out.
Right, and I think there's a version of it where you can actually take a picture of the sky with your phone,
Oh, right on.
and then it will really sync up. You know, not just guessing where you are pointing it, but now actually know where you're pointing it, and you'll be able to just. So if I was on that ocean voyage, I'd be playing with that, you know, and I'd be trying to get away with it, you know, because I couldn't recognize. I can recognize the Big Dipper. I couldn't recognize the Southern Cross. I was below the equator, could never find it, and you know, it's just embarrassing. But the Starry Night is very good because it gives you some really cool things to do, and I think the coolest thing that you can do with Starry Night, and this is for me makes it worth the price of the software. Okay, Starry Night.
You got the enthusiasts, okay.
Yes, I got the enthusiast. Yes, but I'm not sure it's worth the money because for my purposes, all I just need to do is see the simple stuff. So the thing is, so I'm going to tell it to find. I'm going to tell it to find Orion. Okay. Now I happen to know where Orion is in the sky. It's one of the few things I know, and. Okay, and there's Orion in the sky, and this is the constellation. There's Orion's Belt, and there's these two stars, and there's those two stars whose names I keep forgetting. You probably know.
Yeah.
And right in the middle, over here, is in the sword, is the Orion Nebula, which is the closest forming star cluster to us. It's a really cool place to visit. There are lots of pieces of software that you take you there, and it's worthwhile going there. Yes.
No.
Oh, okay. But what I've done is I've created this thing, this little X here. This little X, the moon, is half a degree in the sky. Okay. That little X is half a degree, and as we zoom in, you'll see it'll come out to be a circle. Okay. Well, you think the moon is big in the sky sometimes, but the moon is terribly small in the sky. It's only half a degree. I'm 30 arc minutes, 1/2 a degree, and as I zoom in on the Orion Nebula, that little cross becomes a circle, and the circle I'm now placing over the Orion Nebula, and lo and behold, the Orion Nebula is the same size as the moon. Okay? That's news. That means if you can see the moon through a pair of binoculars, take out the binoculars, point at the Orion Nebula, and you can see it because it's the same size. So stuff like that is really useful to know, but this is the only software that I know that does that sort of thing. So anything you see in the sky and you want to know how big it is, it'll tell you where it is. But if you want to know how big it is, this software will let you know that. I don't know if that's worth $80. There's lots of other things to do, but that's the game I play with this. Okay, to find how big things are in the sky. You know, I want to know, okay, I don't know this. I'm going to find this out right now. Andromeda, big or small? Andromeda. That's the nearest galaxy to us. Okay? Andromeda galaxy, Andromeda. Where is it in the sky? Can I see it? Is it visible? I don't know. I don't look up. But if I could see it in the sky, if somebody showed me where it was in the sky, how big is it in the sky? Let's see. It's bigger, much bigger than the moon. I didn't know that. It's a galaxy, 2.5 million light years away, and it's bigger than the moon. That's cool stuff you can learn from the software.
And with the free software, can you zoom in to?
No, this is $80.
Oh, with the
Nothing does this as well as that.
Not so much with let's look for the side of the moon, but as far as zooming in.
Oh, the zooming in, everything lets you do it.
All through is it?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
Good.
But this one doesn't take you anywhere. The sky is the sky. The other software I've been playing with takes you places.
Mhm.
Okay, this one, you're sitting on the Earth, and in fact, if I pulled out further, you'd actually see Central Park laying there with its trees, you know, and you could literally look around and see what it looks like. I've just zoomed in. So we're getting through a lot of this. I'm getting through more than I thought. You know, it's good. This is worth a trip. NASA's Eyes. Okay, it's a desktop app. You download it there. Okay, download here, and then you can do stuff. Okay, it's on your desktop, but it's free from NASA, and you can do stuff. What should I do? Okay. My favorite thing, basically it has, first of all, we're going to launch it with some luck. What am I doing? Oh, NASA's Eyes. Did this mean anything to anybody? This stunt of mine, with the cord. Did that mean anything to anybody? No, not to me. Nobody. We have one person. I should have done it better. If I had done it better, would it have been better?
No, he has interested.
Okay, so the eyes on the Earth, eyes on the solar system, eyes on exoplanets. These are all cool. Eyes on the solar system, and so exoplanets, it's well worth the trip. I don't know if we'll spend any time there. Advanced, we'll click on that. In fact, we'll click on Cassini. See, there's a number of things here, but of the four they've highlighted the Cassini tour, this one. We're here till 8:30, right?
Right.
Right?
Yes.
Okay. Now, the thing about Cassini is it spent, I don't know, 10 years, I don't know how long, but a lot of years whizzing around Saturn, taking thousands and thousands of pictures, many of them taken for science purposes, and many of them done just for the beauty that the scene would be if framed just right. And the spacecraft, in order to cruise around Saturn and to pass by all the beautiful moons, it couldn't use its fuel all the time in order to do that. So it used the major moon of Titan to scoot it back and around and whatever. And in order to do that, they did some serious computation to figure out exactly how to get Cassini everywhere that it needed to get to in the Saturn system. Cannot believe how good a job they did. They put it, they thread the needle over and over and over again as they went here and there, every bit of it pre-planned, going everywhere, doing everything. The thing that I want to show you is the path they took through the Saturn system. And for that, hopefully, give me a second to find what it is that I'm looking for. And okay. Okay. What you're seeing here is the orbit of Cassini during its primary mission. What you're seeing here is they got an extension, and they call this the equinox mission. And Cassini did these orbits during its equinox mission, and did these orbits in its solstice mission. Putting them all together, it looks like this. If that isn't rocket science, I don't know what is.
Is it still orbiting?
No, it was purposely crashed into the planet.
It was on PBS.
Yes.
I remember back when it was the rover Curiosity when it landed on Mars. I remember visiting the sites, actually tracking, you can actually track the probe
Right.
as it landed on the planet.
It still has the that I think that visualization.
Yeah, I think it's like that.
Tracking Curiosity as it landed on Mars. Yeah, I think it's one of the buttons you can press, right, and see it. But it's really a YouTube video, which you can see just as well. This is an interesting story here, which I think bears telling. In the history of of space travel, there have been many unsung heroes, but there's one hero that saved this mission. Because this mission had a secondary mission, and it was to land a probe on Titan and drop a probe into Titan's atmosphere. It's the only moon with an atmosphere. Land it and take pictures on the way down and transmit when it got to the bottom. And it did all that. Cassini did all that. But Cassini almost didn't do that. In order for Cassini to do what it had to do, it had to transmit back to Earth along a line of sight. And that line of sight was Doppler shifted. Now, you all know what Doppler shifted is. I don't have to tell you that, right? Is that right? Is anybody who doesn't know what Doppler shifted is? Come on, anybody? Okay, good. So the signal was Doppler shifted, and they knew that it was going to be Doppler shifted, and they compensated for that because as it was landing on Titan, Huygens, the spacecraft that would land on Titan, was to transmit to Cassini, and Cassini was to transmit to the Earth. So, because Huygens didn't have enough power So, but the two spacecraft were separated, and they were going in different speeds and different Doppler speeds, and they were supposed to communicate, and everybody thought they would be just fine because they had worked it out all out ahead of time. But it turned out that they didn't. They got it completely wrong, and given what they had planned to do, Huygens would never have been able to talk to Cassini on its way down. And one guy, with minutes to spare, because it's a long story, managed, minutes to spare because he had a certain allotted time on the telescope, and he used it all up, and finally, in the last few seconds, he figured out it doesn't work. He called foul. Everybody paid attention, and now the problem was you couldn't fix it. You couldn't. The hardware was hardwired to be wrong. It was going to be doing this, and it was going to fail. So what they did is they had Cassini, instead of doing this, Cassini continued its mission, but they torqued it so that instead of Cassini being parallel to the line of sight, Cassini would go perpendicular to the line of sight, and the Doppler bit problem would disappear. The only problem was Cassini was not in the right place to do those orbits. So what they did is another rocket scientist figured out how to meet up with the place that Cassini was supposed to be after dropping off Huygens, so that it could pick up and do this mission, because they couldn't recompute this. It would have been too costly and too timely, take too long to redo this. So they had to put Cassini back where it belonged after dropping off Huygens in a perpendicular rather than a parallel orbit. If that makes any sense to you, it was beautiful. Anyway, that story is referenced in the handout. It's a story of how a hero saved Huygens and Cassini. It's right there. Okay. So you can also do obviously Cassini, New Horizons, Voyager, Juno. There's lots of other things you can do. It's worthwhile going in there. It doesn't take an expert to operate the software. Back here now to some other stuff. Let's see, what did I skip? Anything? Okay, you've also APOD, it's astronomical picture of the day, astronomy picture of the day. Most of you have been there, so you click there, but you do know that you can go backwards, and when you go backwards, you'll find 15 years worth of pictures, and if you want some way to get into those pictures in a different way, besides linearly going back and forth, there's a website. That's my website, lairdwh.com. Believe me, it looks better than that. There's an invitation to my class. Okay, right there, weekly class. But here are 7 links. 7 links. Yeah. This is what I actually do in class. I've been doing this class for 12 years, and most of the pictures, not most, but a lot of the pictures that I have of the solar system were reaped from Astronomy Picture of the Day. So if you go into, let's see, galaxies and more, for example, and by the way, this stuff is designed for me, by me. Okay, I'm letting you in on it, so you can go click on it, but don't be surprised if the formatting is less than ideal, because I just do whatever I do. But let's just say, so this is the Milky Way galaxy, Andrometer, spiral galaxies. So just, I don't know, this one, for example. This is just one picture, hopefully, that will come in. It's an astronomy picture of a day picture, but it's been curated for you, for me, so that when I'm lecturing to my class of mostly 80-year-old people, but you're invited, okay, nevertheless, you can see the pictures that I've been picking from APOD and all sorts of other places. So basically, the entire web, everything that I've ever found that's beautiful, and I usually the criteria is beautiful rather than good science. Okay, although occasionally I'm doing science, but believe me, when I do science in this class of 80-year-olds, they fall asleep. So I do as little as I can, but nevertheless. So this is it's good, a good place to just so it's find those links, click on whatever you're interested in. You know, it will occupy the rest of your life. Well, actually, the rest of my life. You're younger. Okay. Google Earth. Okay, Google Earth. I want to show you Google Earth because you all know Google Earth, you think, but you don't. First of all, you may not know, since you're also young, most of you, Google Earth was a desktop app, and then for people who couldn't get that, they made it a web app. So you may see Google Earth as a web app, and it's great. It just doesn't do as much as the desktop version. Okay, if you look up here, right there, there's a little thing like Saturn-like thing, and if you click, and I'm going to click the moon, and lo and behold, you get the moon. Okay, Google Earth moon, because Google Earth has, you know, Google Earth was the one place that you can go where they've done some tourist stuff for you. So all the other places aren't labeled much, but Google Earth has got all sorts of stuff there with labels, so you can go to places and find things. Istanbul, by the way, is not on the moon, because it's not. There are problems with it, but there are great things you can do. You can see colorized terrain. Look. Huh, see, good stuff. You can keep busy all day playing with what Google Earth can do with the moon and what Google Earth can do with Mars. You want to go visit Opportunity, which cruised around Mars, and Spirit and Opportunity. Their paths are lying on Google Earth. Not updated as much as I'd like, but nevertheless, some great stuff. And some of the visualizations here are just unbelievable. I'm going to go back to this. So guided tours, okay? Guided tours, really cool, okay? So play this tour. Now, what happens is, this is a tour of the moon done by Harrison Smith, and if there was sound, and there might be sound, but it isn't important that I play the sound at this point. He's taking you on a journey, and you think this is a movie, but it's not. It's a visualization. So while he's doing that, I can stop that and pull. I'm able to screw around in the middle of his visualization because he's just following something which you yourself can also do yourself. I'm just interrupting his visualization to superimpose whatever I was doing, and I should let it go play again because I don't know what I'm doing, but he knows what he's doing. So there he is back again. I can see that there's the spacecraft. I can kind of walk around it, and I can play with that mountain over there. And with other software I've shown you tonight, you can actually see that mountain in the distance by coming down on the Apollo site and literally looking out. You can do that with open space. While this, as I said, looks like a movie, it's just your invitation to visit in this way. And there's the Earthrise. Earth and this thing. They know how to make this. This is Google, right? This is not anybody. This is Google, so they do this right. The problem with this this software is not being supported in the same way it used to be. So it's old, and some of the things are old. But astronomy doesn't get old, but some missions do. So I don't know if it has the Curiosity mission to the moon, to Mars, and there are so much to do. What else can I show you? I'll just emphasize that you can go to Mars. I'm going to stop that. No, I didn't know how to stop it. I'll just turn it off. I'll just kill it. We'll go someplace else. Google Earth is great for this. You can really there's two tours of the moon, and there are 2 tours of Mars, and they're both worth taking. And as I said, since they're just taking on a tour, you can literally interrupt the tour and move yourself around and zoom in and do all sorts of things that you might want to do.
So that's a photo.
What?
That's a photo.
That's a photo. I'll show you what. Oh, I have to start that again. That was a photo because, in fact, they can do anything they want with that. So it's and they did a photo, but they
When you say old, like how many years behind when you say they are?
I don't think they have Curiosity.
And how long ago was Curiosity?
Anybody?
2000.
We have one guy who knows.
12, yeah, okay.
Google Earth. But they do some very cool. I'll show you with Mars. Mars has got a nice one. So there's Mars, okay, and rovers and landers. Now, guided tours. Okay, so this is what you can do with this is what you can do with Google Earth on Mars. That's Victoria Crater. Victoria Crater is a very cool crater. You should go visit it. You can do it here. And one of the ways of visiting, I'm going to zoom in here a little bit, and I can see the crater is getting more and more obvious. But there's some pictures. I'd like to turn off the names, but I can't do that fast enough. So I'm going to click randomly on one of these 3 here. Now, okay, so this is one of the best pictures taken on Mars ever. It doesn't look it. But click here, fly into this high resolution photo, and you're dropping into the panorama. So you can literally move around. It's not doing a great job here.
Can you use a virtual reality thing with this?
Viewer, no.
Okay.
This is before virtual reality viewers were invented. Okay, but nevertheless, dropping into these places, you have this sense of dropping. Okay, which gives you a real sense of being there. But this is the best picture. The reason it's the best picture, so exit photo. The reason it's the best picture is because what happened was, see these tracks? Opportunity went into the crater, went down. This is the track of the spacecraft. So it actually entered, and they took a chance. It entered and it left. And you see the zigzag trail. But as I said, the trail's not updated to, but it's a beautiful crater. Beautiful. So it's not updated. So it should go all the way, it went all the way to here, but I think it should go further. You know, being on the move, Mars was just such a long time, it got much further than anyone anticipated. But I think they stopped updating the software. 15 minutes left. Let's see what else.
Could you explain what STEAM is? You made a reference.
Steam is a platform. Is there a gamer in the house? No? Oh, you. Okay, so do you know what Steam is?
Yeah.
Would you tell me?
It's a platform, it's kind of like a marketplace and a platform, so it's a way that you can find like computer games, like old games, like all kinds of games, and it helps you download them, buy them, and then run them.
And it also provides some software to help run them as well,
Yes.
right? So you can't, when you open this software that I was mentioning, Steam has to load first, and then software runs. And so, but there's no, you don't do anything with Steam. It's just sitting underneath it, doing stuff. But I was reading recently that there's some sort of Steam thing going on, where some man was pretending to be a woman, and 40 million people were involved in the conversation, and it was all about, and it was about some piece of software done in Steam. 40 million people. None of you in this room. It's a big thing, gaming software. I don't know anything about it. There is a Google Earth virtual reality app that I can't use because I don't have a virtual reality headset. Not the cardboard kind, the Oculus Rift kind. So you have to spend real money to do that. But there's a website by Google telling you about that. There is a space station game. I included that because if you wanted to visit the space station, there's a game which lets you first go outside the space station and go around and take a look, and then after a while, and you've been trained, you can go out and perform some tasks involving tools. But nevertheless, it's a 3D game in the sense of that it's visualization, and wherever your mouse takes you, that's where you end up. So if you wanted to visit the space station, it gives you a sense. Solar System Visualizer. That needs Flash, and I'm not going to run it. Celestia is another one. I don't use it much, so I don't know anything about it. Stellarium, I don't know anything about, except that I think it's good for astronomers who are like you guys, maybe. How many of you people own a telescope and look up through the telescope? Aha. So that's who you are. You're amateur astronomers. Okay. But some of you don't own a telescope, right? Right? I own a telescope, okay? And I have to tell you, owning a telescope is not an easy thing. For one thing, you have to point it at 2, 3 things in the sky in order to register it so it knows if you got one of these intelligent ones. If you don't have an intelligent one, well, good luck to you. But these scopes are good. You to point at 3 things in the sky, and you and then you press go, and it knows everything, and then you tell it where you want to go, and it goes there, and it's terrific. But I can't make that happen. And the reason I can't make that happen is partially because I'm older and I can't do this very well. And you have to really get it lined up, and it's really hard to do that because the scope, you don't see the thing that you're looking at. It's off to the sides. So the finder scope supposedly is the thing that'll help you, but it's always pointing the wrong direction anyway, not aligned with your scope. And of course, if you did that, how would you do that? What? It's hard to do that. So basically, I have a nice big telescope that I only look at the moon with, because I know where that is in the sky. Solar system. Okay, and then oh, here's something. Okay, so then I have a very incomplete list of spectacular astronomy visualizations. These are just things that I just randomly threw in at the bottom here. But this one's very useful because as a person who knows nothing about what I see when I look up, this is very useful because when I click on this, it tells me that it tells me it's Copernicus. See? And I click on this, and I got a name, and this I got a name, and this I got a name. So instead of running around